Hello everyone, my name is Sophie and welcome to my new video. Someone suggested that if I review Fae books, I should wear my pointy Fae ears, so that's what I'm doing. Did you know that Holly Black got her ears surgically altered to be more pointy? I saw that the other day and I was like, why the fuck would you do that? I just woke up also, I have like no energy. My history with the Holly Black books, or not the Holly Black books, but the Folk of the Air books is I've read them all. Not all. I've read the main trilogy, I don't really know. There's two more back here, but I don't know what they are. I didn't like them. And those were some of the first books I reviewed on my channel back in the day. You can go watch it. I don't remember anything. I don't remember anything from the books. I don't remember anything I said. Besides in the last video, like the last review I did, I got a haircut. That I remember. That's like a series where I've reviewed the books poorly and where I've said numerous times that I don't like the series and I don't think it's good. And I think that is the series I get most of my hate from. Like most people will send me death threats over those videos. The other ones are fine, but like that is like personal apparently. Didn't like Jude. I thought she was annoying. I didn't like the world. And I didn't like any of the other characters. Someone, after I mentioned that I wanted to read this one, said, "Oh, it's different, so you might like it." You were wrong. I gave it 1 star. And I could tell it was 1 star from like the first 100 pages. This book is 350 pages and the other 3 books, the main trilogy, isn't many more. The main trilogy isn't much longer either, like per book. They're relatively short and I hate that. Personally. Why would you write high fantasy? Or is this high fantasy? Why would you write fantasy and then make it 300 pages long, girl? You know what I saw? Holly Black in the back, her author picture. She's doing like the Zoolander face. The thing is, I didn't know what it was about when I started reading it. And I thought it was about Oak. Because, you know Oak? I mean, I have people who, like, what? Stop. Are people here who haven't read the main trilogy yet? Because I feel like you have to read that before. Because it gets mentioned so many fucking times. I feel like you have to read it before. But then again, that's also kind of ass that you have to read that before. I mean, you could leave it, but then you would be confused. Because they do mention, like, Jude and Carden quite a few times, but they don't appear. And you know what? That's the reason the book has gotten really poor ratings. Because people were like, Jude and Carden get mentioned, but where are they? I want to see them. I'm like, bitch, this is a new trilogy. I don't really know what that hype is about Jude and Carden. Honestly, maybe I should reread it. I don't know. Honestly, this was bad, okay? But it wasn't like bad in a funny way. It was bad in a boring way. I was bored out of my mind reading this. That's why it took me longer. Even though it's just 350 pages, it took me longer to read because I was like, I can't do it. I'm not interested in anything that's going on at all. Nothing is interesting. This book is 8 years after the last Folk of the Air book. Is this still a Folk of the Air series? After Queen of Nothing. I still have them. After the Queen of Nothing. 8 years, okay, have passed. And this is where the book picks up. And I thought The Stolen Heir was referencing Oak, the little brother of Jude, who almost became king because he's like of royal blood. I thought this was his perspective, but it wasn't. And that's because I didn't read the back. Because it's about Suren, or Ren, who's so unlikable and so fucking boring. I don't really know why it's called The Stolen Heir. I don't really know who got stolen because they both left on their own will, like both of the heirs. Like, it's not like they were stolen from anyone. Maybe I just didn't get it. By the end, I'm gonna be honest, I was literally skipping pages by the end. Like, not just skimming, but straight up skipping. Because, like, I was like, just get to the end. Because I saw in reviews that people were saying, oh, the end twist is the best part about the book. But it wasn't, because nothing was good about it. Let's get into it. So, we have Suren, or Ren. She's the main character, and she is from the Court of Teeth. Which, I have to be honest, I didn't remember anything from the main series. Besides Carden turning into a snake, which is the Battle of the Serpent that they mentioned numerous times. So Suren is really ugly, okay? That's like mentioned that she's really ugly. She has like blue skin. She looks like an avatar but ugly. Now, Oak still falls in love with her, so how ugly can she be? When she was younger, she was found by people in the human world, and then they adopted her, and she grew up as a human, not knowing of the fairy world. And then, like, when she was 10 or something, the evil fairies came, and they were like, we are your parents, and they're actually evil, and, like, beat her up and shit, and they're like, you're coming with us. And then she came with them, and she has, like, trauma from that, because they unglamored her, because she looked human. And then she went to her adoptive parents' room and was like, they're trying to take me. And they didn't recognize her because she looked like a monster, and then they kicked her. And so she's traumatized from that, but she's also traumatized from going with her evil real parents, who aren't her real parents, but we'll get to it. And her life is just really bad. She has a terrible life. She gets taken. I don't really know the timeline of everything, I'm sorry. She gets taken, and then she's with the evil people for a while, and then she's supposed to marry Oak, and that's still in the Queen of Nothing. And then they're like, no, you're not gonna marry Oak, and then there's the Battle of the Serpent, and then she flees into the human world and just lives like in the woods, because she doesn't want to return to the evil people, basically. And so she watches her old family through the window. Creep. Watching my aunt father in the breakfast nook with his laptop answering email. Emails? Is it the email? Which email is he answering? And so for the first like 50 pages of the book, we're just following Ren as she watches her family and what it's like for her to live in the fucking woods, and it's really boring because I don't care for this character. I don't know if she was actually mentioned in the original trilogy, like if she actually was a character in that. I just straight up don't remember that. Maybe she was, maybe she wasn't. Even then I wouldn't have cared. You know what I mean? Nothing changed, girl. You're so boring. She's been living in the woods and breaking spells for people because that's what she's really good at, okay? Keep that in mind. She's really good at breaking spells, and so when the evil fae come and they try to put spells on humans, she comes and breaks them because she wants to be different. But I am lured back again and again. Sometimes I wash the dishes in the sink or move wet clothes to the dryer, like a brownie. I know the expression brownie points. Like when you do something good and you get brownie points for them, that's like an idiom. Idiom? Okay, girl. Big words. But like a brownie? Is that, someone tell me if that's like a proper expression, because I read that, I was like, I had to stop. I was like a brownie. Does she mean brownie? Because that's the only thing I can think of, like brownie points, but even then, would you use the expression like that? Native speakers, rise up. In the comments, rise up. Also, like, she does the household for them, and they don't notice? That's kind of weird. She's in the forest, and then the evil Suriel comes, because, you know the Suriel from Ekota? Basically, that's just what I was imagining for this character, but he's like the, or she, it's a she. Is it? It's a hag. What's a hag? Anyway, they were an evil character, and they were working for the evil queen, who is, well, not really the evil queen, because Suren is the queen of the Court of Teeth, but she ran away, so her mother is ruling it, and she's evil. And the Suriel, like, works for her mother, and tries to snatch her and bring her back a couple of times. And then Oak appears, you know, Oak, the little brother, and so, since we have the 8-year time skip, Oak is now 17, and in my head he was just a child, honestly. I couldn't imagine him as a grown man. It felt kind of weird. I don't know why. I think she just didn't do a good job for whatever reason, because you have books like Cassandra Clare's where she writes about whole ass families and you have children and they're grown up and blah blah blah. And I don't think that people have issues with that. Like, they're not like, oh, this child character is now grown up, I can't identify with them, they still feel like a child to me. I think people get over that pretty fast with Cassandra Clare, but for this, I just imagined a little child. I don't really know. Fuck Oak. Fuck him. We get the flashback now that she meets Oak because she really hates him for what he did when he was younger, and I don't really know what he did because they met like twice when they were younger and now again. But also, I don't really know. So basically, they went to Jude and Carden and they were like, hey, we want Suren, like back in the day before the Battle of the Serpent, hey, can our daughter marry Oak because they're the same age, and then we could have an alliance between the Court of Teeth and I don't know what the fuck they are. The royal family? I don't know. Jude said Oak shouldn't have anything to do with these people or their creepy daughter. In front of the child. You know what? That's why I fucking hate her. Fuck Jude. Honestly, I've never liked her. She never had a plan that worked. I don't remember anything she did, but I just remember that was like one of the things I complained about, that all the plans she did like somehow ended up going wrong. And that out of convenience, like, she would make it work, but it was, like, really weird. Anyway, she bullies the daughter. She bullies Suren, like, in front of her. She's like, you are fugly. You're not gonna marry my brother? And she's like, oh, okay. Thanks. The evil people return to their camp, because they were the ones attacking, which made the Battle of the Serpent. And they return to their camp to wait to attack. And then This is the flashback, okay? I'm gonna explain it to you, what the history between Oak and Soren is. Oak came to the camp and was like, hey Soren, do you want to play? And then they play a game, and then she's like, okay, I won, now you have to untie me. And he tries, but he can't manage it because the rope is enchanted. And then he comes back the next night and cuts her free, and they both escape to the castle, where she hides in his room for 3 days under his bed. And then she gets caught, and then she gets exiled. And she's really mad at Oak because he didn't do anything about it. He didn't speak up when she got exiled, when they were like dragging her away in chains. He didn't speak up, which is why she's mad at him. I don't really know if they resolve that. I don't think they do. He does tell her later that she was his first love, so maybe she doesn't even care anymore about all of that. Like, she's like, okay, I was your first love, so whatever you did to me is fine. I don't really know. That's the story of Oak and Soren, how they knew each other. So they didn't really know each other that well. She makes it out to be like they had this whole history, like they grew up together as children. That's like the vibe that I got. And then we got like 2 flashbacks where they met twice, and I was like, okay, that wasn't that deep. Also, well, the whole book is them traveling because they want to go to Soren's mom because she has Mob's bones. And that means that she has a lot of power because Mob's bones can be pulverized and then used for spells, for really strong spells. And so they're like, we have to get them back. And no, that comes later. But we have to get them back. That's the mission. And so the whole book is just a travel vlog, basically. And they're just traveling the whole time, and I hate books like that. I hate when they're just traveling. It's like, what the fuck did I read? The mermaid book. To Kill a Kingdom. They were also just traveling the whole time. I hate those books. Boring. Boring. They get attacked on their way to somewhere because they're just traveling, so they're traveling somewhere. And then they get attacked by evil people from Soren's mom. And Oak gets hit with an arrow, and she's sitting in front of him on the horse, and he's sitting behind her holding the reins. And so they're like on the other horse, and then like hours later, because it literally says hours later, because they're traveling, not just her and Oak, it's like 2 other people are with them, but mainly just one person because one of them is like evil or something. I don't really know. One of them is a bird. The dude is like, it's like his bodyguard. The bodyguard is like, hey, when did Oak get hit? And she's like, oh my god. And she didn't notice that hours ago, he got a fucking arrow in his back. He's like, oh, wait, is Oak dying? And she's like, oh my god, yeah, you're right. Even though she's sitting in front of him, he's like slumming on her because he's like unconscious. She's like, oh yeah, you're right. He's fucking dying. She has like no surrounding awareness. She doesn't know what's going on. They mentioned Duke Carden a few times, and every time it was so unserious. There are rumors that Carden never wanted the throne, that he will hand it over to Oak willingly at some vague future point. But when I think of High King Carden with his black curls and cruel mouth, with the way he behaves, silly and dangersome all at once, I don't believe he would relinquish power. Silly? Imagine being king and then your people saying, oh, you're the silly king. The king of silliness. What the fuck does it even mean? In my head it's just goofy. Like, does he like, is he clumsy? Like, what the fuck does silly mean? Like, in this context, how can you be a silly king? I don't know. And they are now in a motel. Shout out Pitbull. She goes, it ought to be hard to fall asleep in this unfamiliar place filled with strange sounds. My thigh hurts from the ride and my feet are sore from walking. But as warm, buttery sunlight flows into the room like yolk from a cracked egg. I didn't even notice that when I first read it. My eyes drift closed. I do not even dream. First of all, you've been living for the past 8 years in the forest. Like, you don't have a home. And you're saying it's weird to fall asleep in a motel? I don't believe it. Second of all, yolk! Listen, I fucking hate that expression. It's the same as orbs. You know in Lightlark when they keep saying yolk? Oh, how often did I think the sun looked like yolk? Did she do that on purpose to reference Lightlark? Is that like a insider? Don't use that word. Don't use that idiom. Oak brings her new clothes and she's wearing her drenched clothes that are super wet because she just washed them. And I glance down at the way that damp cloth of my dress has stuck to my body and flinched. My breasts are visible, even my nipples. And Oak gets all shy. Oh no, boobies. Oh no. Whatever will we do if we see boobies? He can't control himself. He has needs. I just didn't like Soren. Honestly, we were in her head the whole time and her vibe is just so confusing because I don't really know what her issue is. At least the hem of the skirt doesn't drag impractically on the floor. I can still run in it as I howl at the moon. She never howls at the moon. Is she, like, the amount of times it was mentioned, like, I growl, I feel, like, the descriptions that were used for her in her own head was, like, they remind me of a dog. Like, I felt like she was, like, acting like a fucking feral dog the whole time, you know what I mean? Like, why? She never howls at the moon. Why? That expression alone is, like, making you think of a fucking wolf. Like a lone wolf. Oh my god. And she acts like one too, but an annoying one. One that I wouldn't want to domesticate. Holly Black will use the most random lines also. She's also done that in the original trilogy. To make it sound more Fae-like. I think, because she describes this... I'll read it. A knock on the door announces a knight with hair the color of rotten vegetation. I don't know what that means. Black? You could just say that. Random. Like, she won't be consistent with it, where she describes things oddly, because maybe Surin doesn't know colors. She doesn't know the name of colors. She's also really stupid because she didn't go to school, by the way. And she, like, keeps saying, oh, I didn't go to school. I don't know anything. I don't think she knows math. I mean, that line alone made a 1 star for me. Rotten vegetation. All of my notes are literally just sentences with question marks because I can't believe what the fuck I'm reading. We get a flashback again to back in the day. No, actually not. I think she's just explaining what happened when the battle happened. She says that the Court of Teeth used parlay to get into Elfheim and console the queen and king to ask if Surin could marry Oak. They used parlay. So I was wondering, if she knows what parlay is, why didn't she just use that when she got exiled? Like, being like, hey, parlay, I'm a fucking child. Like, I didn't know, I don't even want to be here. Like, can I just, like, live in peace? I don't know why she didn't use that. The whole reason, by the way, I said it was Mob's bones, but it's not really. I mean, they do want to get Mob's bones, but, or maybe they don't, actually. Because the main reason they're going to the evil queen is because she has Maddock. If you don't remember who Maddock is, or if you've never read any of the books, I don't really actually know what he is. I know that he's green skin or something. He's like an alien. He is Oak's dad, but not his real dad, his adoptive dad, basically. And he is a terrible character. And I will never understand why we care for him. Because he's like, I'm going there because he's held prisoner, to Surin he's saying, your mom is holding him prisoner, so I'm going there to trade with her to get Maddock out. And so Surin is like, does Jude know about this? And he's like, no, but whatever, fuck Jude. Same girl. I don't know why we care for him, because he literally, like, he's not a good character. He's, like, mean and evil. And then he's like, yeah, but I love him because he's my dad. You don't have to love your dad if he's mean and evil. He literally killed Jude's entire family. Well, her parents. Which is her entire family, because also her sister is a bitch. And we're still rooting for him? Why? I don't like Maddock, and I don't get the reason why we are invested in him and why we want him back. You know what I mean? I will never understand that. No explanation in the world could ever justify it. They're now at the Court of Moth, which I don't really know about all the courts tonight because I also didn't care about them. They are asking her for Milif's heart. They're like, hey, we need Mob's bones, and in exchange, we will give her Milif's heart, because Milif's heart can undo all spells. The heart can break all the spells. Okay, keep that in mind. Apparently in the Court of Moth, there is a creature that can tell you where anything is. And so they're like, yeah, we'll go to the Court of Moth and ask if we can meet this creature who can tell us where everything is. They go there, there's a ball, because there needs to be a ball, even though it has nothing to do with the story, and Surin gets a really beautiful dress, and then she kisses Oak. I don't know why! There was no character chemistry between any of them, if I'm being honest. Not between Oak and Surin, not between them and the side characters, who I haven't even fucking mentioned because they're unimportant. Ren, he whispers. At every moment I expect him to flinch or pull back as I put one hand on his shoulder, then go up on my toes and kiss him. This is ridiculous. Kissing him is profane. It gives me all the horrible satisfaction of smashing a crystal goblet. Okay. So she kisses him and he's like, well, let's do that again. No, he doesn't say that. But she doesn't really trust him because apparently his real mom, she was able to sweet talk people into doing shit. That was her power, that if she was just good at convincing people. Like, that's her magic. and making them believe that they liked her even if they didn't. And so she thinks that Oak has this ability too. And so she's like, oh, you're making me fall in love with you. And he's like, I don't even know how to fucking use that power, girl. Like, I don't even know what the fuck that means. And so she's like, okay, whatever, but we'll get to it. I have to stop saying that. I have to hold myself accountable. I can't keep saying this. I can't keep getting away with this. This is revealed, this power, because she goes into the prison of the Moth Queen, where one of their buddies is being held. The bird, that's like a human bird, because he was cursed. And he was locked up because Oak said, oh, he's our prisoner. But actually he's a friend. And so what the fuck's her name? Surin, well, she wants to be called Ren. We'll respect that. Ren, she goes and frees him out of the cell after almost killing him because it was like a riddle. And the answer was a candle. I don't really know why they always do their riddles so simplistic. I mean, the answer should be something really difficult. She frees him after almost killing him because every time she says the wrong answer, the cell shrunk. And she said it like twice and then he was almost crushed. And he gets out and he's like, oh my god, I'm so thankful. I swear my loyalty to you. I will listen to your every command. And she's like, bitch, I didn't ask for this. This is fucking like Rowan after he gets fucking freed. And it's like on his knees immediately. It's like, I'm gonna swear another oath. I can't be on my own. I can't have thoughts of my own. She freed him. He swears loyalty to her. And then she also frees a girl that is in the cell and another prisoner. And they escape and she stays behind. And she gets the phone from the girl. And then they text like once in the book. I don't really know how this has any relevance. If this will come back in the second book, probably. But they text when she's in the human world. And then she also calls her mom. And they remember her all of a sudden. Even though they didn't remember her when she was a monster and she got kicked. They're like, oh my god, we miss you. Whatever. They will also come back in the second book, but I didn't care about them. They're at the ball, and he's really drunk, and he was, like, provoking one of the trolls. Every time they say troll, I was just thinking of Shrek. And I know Shrek is not a troll, but I just imagined that he was getting beat up by Shrek. He gets beat up, and he doesn't defend himself. And then, for some reason, and I don't know why, Ren is like, oh, he's so weak. He doesn't know how to use a sword. He doesn't know how to fight. Which makes zero sense why she would think that. If he has mentioned time and time again, I was trained in everything a prince or a king needs to be trained in. My dad, my adoptive dad, literally kills for sport. You know what he says? He mentions that Maddox, when they lived in the human world, he worked at a slaughterhouse because he wanted to kill things. And I was like, okay, so we still like him? And we still fucking like him? What the fuck? Obviously, this is just for show. He knows very well how to fight and how to kill people. And I don't know why anyone was buying into the, oh, Oak is weak thing. Because I was like, bitch. Like, all of the secrets and plot twists were so obvious. It read like a middle school novel. A bad one. That was also my review. Read like a middle school novel. A bad one. Because it did. It read like a bad middle school novel. If you took out like the beheading and the cruel things and just described them a little bit different, this could have been a middle school novel. I've never read one, but this was so boring and like not dramatic enough, like randomly traumatic, but they're not dramatic enough. My mom's outside, I can't scream. Ren gets exposed for freeing the prisoners, and then the queen is like, well, you have to pay. And so Oak is like, okay, we can have a duel. I will duel for her, and if I win, we can leave, and if you win, we stay here or something. And so they have a duel. He fights an ogre. No, a troll. I'm thinking of ogre because of fucking Shrek. I love him. They fight to the death. And obviously Oak wins, and then it's like the whole, oh my god, everyone thought he couldn't fight, but he can. And it's like, okay, girl, put on the little light bulb in your head, okay? Like, who the fuck would think he can't fight? I don't know. Why would you underestimate someone instead of overestimating them? I don't really know. Anyway, especially if it's like a prince. They get led to the queen, no, to the witch that can find anything, which is why they're there. That was their goal, to go to that witch. Yeah, they need to find the silly heart. They need to find the heart of Milith to trade for Mob's bones. That's basically the gist of it. She says to him, well, I can't just tell you where it is without a price. So she asks for, I have read your future in the eggshells, and what I will have is this. Your agreement that when you become king, you will give me the very first thing I request. And Oak immediately is like, done. It hardly even matters since I will never be king. She literally just told you that she read your future in the eggshells. Like, she knows. She basically told you that you will be king. That's why she's asking this of you. Because she knows you will be king. Side eye. And the witch told him where the heart is. He was like, okay, whatever, like, we can't reach it anyway. It's whatever, we don't need it, we're still gonna go north and get Maddox out. And that was really sus, first of all, okay? She talks to the cereal knockoff. They tell her, Alwega, your prince never told you the Bergen lady nor offered that she would trade Maddox to the prince in exchange for the very thing he is bringing north. A foolish girl, you. And she talks about this with Oak, and he's like, oh no, I don't want to bring you, that's not... It's like, it's so confusing because Faye can't lie, and so they need to twist words, and the way the surreal said it was the very thing he is bringing north, period, a foolish girl, period, you, period. So it was like separate sentences addressing her and not saying, you are gonna be brought north, but that's how she interpreted it. And she's like, I don't really understand because he needs Miller's heart and not me. Why the fuck would he trade me? But the thing is, she can't command her mom because she swore an oath to her, like forcefully. Whatever. She can command her mom to do anything that she wants because she swore that oath. And so she's her greatest weakness because she can do that, whatever. And she doesn't want to do it, but someone's gotta do it. Someone's gotta do it. She tries to escape at some point. I mean, this happens somewhere between page 200 and 300 because I didn't take any notes between those pages because nothing was happening. But they are just traveling, and then she tries to run away at some point, but she comes back. She argues with Oatmeal? She argues with Oak about like, oh, you want to trade me in because I can command her and she's scared of me. And he's like, no, that's not true, blah, blah, blah. But it is true. Ren was created. Basically, the Soriel, this is still in the same conversation as when, on page 200, before page 300, obviously, where I didn't take any notes, but this is at the beginning. Wait, what the fuck am I saying? This is on page 200 when she revealed this, because she's talking to the Soriel, and the Soriel tells her, well, long ago, there were two people who wanted a child, an heir, and for some reason, no one could bring an heir to the king, and so the king and the queen looked for the hag, which is the Soriel, and asked for a child, and the Soriel agreed, and they built a child. They didn't bear a child, but they built that child out of sticks and stones and snow. Like a snowman. They made a snowman, and then it turned into a child, which is Ren. And the hag animated that child. Now, if you're gonna say, well, how does that work? Magic. But also, like, she needs a heart. She is Miller's heart. That revelation came like in the last 10 pages, and I was like, bitch, we've been new. You know what I mean? Like all of the fantasy rules like point toward you being the heart. Why are we always looking for hearts? But it was just, I think if you read a lot of fantasy, it was just very obvious that she had the heart in her, and especially after this exchange where it's like, oh, you weren't actually born, but you were made out of snow, and then the Suriel put a heart into you, and it's Miller's heart, and that's why she can undo curses, because the heart can also undo curses. It just made sense, and I think it was easy to guess. But if you were still surprised by the plot twist, I don't blame you. I didn't give a disclaimer, I just realized at the beginning. Whatever. Whatever. Page 200 to 300, I didn't take any notes because nothing was happening. They were just traveling, and her and Oak getting closer, and her acting like a fucking dog. A feral dog. Not a domesticated one. And also what I was thinking, they made an heir. It was mentioned that they wanted an heir, and then they could build it. So they could build it however they wanted. But I was just confused because why the fuck would they make a daughter? Why would they make a daughter? I feel like they would be sexist enough to say, we don't want a female heir, we want a male heir. So why, what was the reason for that? No one ever questioned that? Anyway, I wonder. I wonder to this day. I finished it yesterday. Like, this night at like 2 AM I finished it. I was like, I still wonder this day. Then they are getting closer to the citadel. No, to the castle. It's called Citadel. Is that how you say it in English? I don't really know. They make it to the evil, like where the evil queen is, and they have to go through a cursed forest where there's a bunch of Shreks, and they almost die, but then they escape, and it's a lot of just traveling and being held up and then continuing on. It's boring. Then they break into the castle, her and Oak, because they've been traveling with a third guy, the bodyguard, whatever. He's still a gay character, so he doesn't really matter, obviously. He's probably gonna die also, because we just needed a queer side character. Polly Black. She could have made Oak gay also. Anyone ever thought about that? How slay would that have been? Anyway. They break into the castle, and of course there's a scene where they almost get caught, and they are dressed in like, she's dressed in a servant's uniform and Oak is dressed in a soldier's uniform. Wherever the fuck they got that from, I don't know, I skipped. And they make out because there's soldiers walking past, and so they don't get noticed. The faces don't get noticed. They start making out. And it's like really intense, like with tongue, like French kissing. And it made me confused because it's said numerous times that she has really pointy teeth, like a fish, like a piranha, I don't really know. And if they were to French kiss, would he cut his tongue? Would he? Because she cuts her own tongue. That's why I wouldn't make out with her, because that would just seem really uncomfortable. They make out, and then Oak kills the soldiers, and this is the very end of the book, and I stopped taking notes, so out of the recollection of my head. They are caught, and they are brought in front of the queen. She's not the queen, but like the lady of the north. Because she knows that Ren can command her, she puts like a spell into her mouth, like a little leaf, and that's a spell. And that means she can't speak anymore to keep herself safe, so Ren can't command her. And then Ren is put into a cell, and Oak frees her. And she runs off after she's freed, and then she somehow breaks the spell in her mouth. And then she finds, like, I think it's because she finds some of Mob's bones. And then she uses that to make a powerful, like, unbinding spell, so she can speak again. And then she goes to the queen, or the lady of the north, the Lady Nor herself, and starts commanding her. And she's like, I make the rules now. And so she tells her, tell them to bring Oak here. And they bring Oak there. And then they talk, blah, blah, blah. So then they go the next day to make an exchange, because the queen thinks that she is gonna get Miller's heart still. And they have like a fake version of it. And they're like, okay, we're gonna meet our buddy, the bodyguard, he has the heart, and we're gonna make an exchange for Maddox, blah, blah, blah. While they were freed Ren, she was unconscious, so they were just talking when they freed her out of the cell. And with they, I mean Maddox and Oak, because they are there to free Maddox, so they got him also out of the cell. And they were talking, and she hears this. She pretends to be unconscious, but she heard it. That it was like, oh, kill her now. Like Maddox told Oak, kill her now before she finds out, because before she can get mad at you. And then Oak is like, I will never kill her. She can hate me, but I will never kill her. And it's like, oh my god, why did she? What happened? How did he deceive her? And so we get the big revelation in the last 10 pages. Literally the last, like, 9 pages until the book is over. 1 second, I have to find it. 1 sec. Melif's heart is mine. Yep. I know. She realizes she is Melif's heart. That's also why Oak could say in front of the queen, I brought Melif's heart. Even though Ren thought, oh, he only brought a fake heart. How could he say that? He can only say the truth. Like, we didn't bring the heart. She is the heart, and Oak knew this, and I don't really know what his plan was, but I also don't care. So that's a big revelation, and then for some reason she starts going crazy. Like, Ren starts going crazy, like batshit crazy. She commands Lady Nor, and then she's like, I wish you to die. And then the lady just falls off her horse and, like, into pieces, like she just dies, because that's how powerful she is with the heart, now that she's realized her full potential or whatever. And she commands all of her armies, the queen's armies, to now follow her. And then she turns to Oak, who's still there, and she goes, heir of Elfheim, get on your knees. And he does. Then she's like, I'm gonna hold him hostage, blah blah blah. Everyone else can leave, Oak and I are gonna stay here, I'm gonna keep him mine. And it's basically like she's going mad. Like, she's the evil queen now. And I don't really know why. I don't really know what's going on. She visits Oak in the prison cell, because he's kept in a cell very comfortably with, like, coats and shit. It's not like he's dying in his own shit. He sees her standing in the shadows, and he's like, you have a good cause to be furious, but you couldn't have lied had you known the truth. I was afraid you'd have to lie. Talk to me, he shouts. Ren, Ren! And then she just runs away. I don't really know what the fuck is going on. That's how the book ends, her running away from Oak in his cell. Period. Peace and Love, I won't read the second book. This book was so fucking boring, and even the ending was fucking boring, because I think for people who knew how the twist was gonna, or what the twist was, there was nothing shocking about this book. Like, I knew how this, I didn't think that she was gonna hold Oak hostage in the end and be like, I'm the queen now, fuck all of you. That's really weird that happened. I don't really know why that happened, but everything else was like really predictable. I think that's why she was acting like a feral dog the whole time, because she's like, deep within her she's evil, even though she tried to be better by breaking curses for mortals. There's no use in it. She is just as bad as all of the evil fairies are and are said to be, like, and whatever, but she'll have a redemption arc in the second book. And I also think for everyone that's like, oh my god, Jude Carden, they will come in the second book, because now they're like, Jude's fucking brother is missing, the heir to the throne is missing, they're gonna pull up, and will I care about it? No, because I won't fucking read it. Again, this book was just absolutely boring. The writing was really boring, also very bland in my opinion. I think that Holy Black's writing is very simplistic, and I just don't really know why she's considered the queen of fairies. How many fairies books has she written? Yeah, I don't know, guys. Fuck this shit. I don't really know, y'all. I really couldn't care less about Fog of the Air series. I don't know what it is. I wish I could enjoy it like the most people do, because I think I would just be less miserable then, but I just like being in pain, I guess. Anyway, thank you so much for watching. That's the whole book. I don't know if this was fun, because the book was just boring. Like, I couldn't make any jokes about it, because it was just like, I mean, I was just bored out of my mind reading it. Peace and love. If you enjoyed this, you can follow me on TikTok, you can follow me on Instagram. I'm going to do a poll on Instagram what to read next, because I don't know. I don't know what to read next. Other than that, thank you so much for watching. I can finally take off the fucking ears. I think I look cuter with them on. Maybe I'm also gonna get them surgically altered like Holy Black. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed this. I hope you stay happy, you stay healthy. And maybe I'll see you in my next video. Bye bye!